Talked about Jaime Lannister arriving in Winterfell, seeing the piercing stare of Brandon Stark, now the Three-Eyed Raven, who recognizes the boy he tried to murder by defenestration. Now a long-awaited reunion between Jon and Arya feels bittersweet, and they kind of reunite under the God's Wood tree, and those two are really probably the biggest warriors of the Stark children still alive today. So yeah, the biggest revelation obviously was last week. Was obviously the one we just talked about, that Jon is in fact the true-born son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, and therefore has the strongest claim to the Iron Throne. Of course, the audience has known about Jon's true parentage since the final episode of Season 6, but the news comes as a shock to Jon. So, yeah, what to expect here in Season 2? There's only so much we can really go off of. Obviously, what we assume is going to happen is Jaime Lannister trial. That's pretty much we know it's going to happen, obviously, because he pulls up in Winterfell, and he's going to have to be judged. So he's going to have to be received in some shape or some form or fashion. And let's now try to read between the tea leaves here as we look at season 8, episode 2 preview release by HBO on YouTube. So let's take a listen.
When I was a child, my brother would tell me a bedtime story about the man who murdered our father.
All right, so that's Daenerys holding court in the center of Winterfell. Very, very awkward situation, obviously, for everyone involved, because obviously Arya, all the Northerners pushed aside as Daenerys questioning this guy in the center of Winterfell. Everyone's gathered. Jaime's standing there, and obviously they have a pretty interesting history, because lest you may forget, Jaime obviously sworn to protect Aerys, Daenerys' father. Aerys went crazy, wanted to burn down the whole city. Jaime stabbed him in the back, literally. Obviously, bringing upon the name Kingslayer and dishonor for many, many years across the realm. And he's going to have to really do a lot of explaining to, especially to Daenerys. It'll be interesting to see if some of his allies, for example, his brother Tyrion, Daenerys' closest advisor, and Brienne of Tarth, especially Tyrion, though, he's probably going to have the best chance to get Daenerys to listen, possibly to some reason here about this situation. So, yeah, now that we know this part, let's see what else she has to say to Jaime.
About all the things we would do to that man.
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be some sort of a confrontation here. But I don't know, could it be, could it not be, could this just be... my brother said this about all the things we're going to do to Jaime Lannister, but you know what? You were right to do what you did, or something along those lines. There could be a more positive way, but there could be another way that I still don't trust you. You need to earn your trust, whatever. But yeah, I really don't know, because throughout the entire course of the show, Daenerys has distanced herself from Viserys Targaryen. He was insane. He was really mad. He kind of had the shades of his father in him. And that was something that he really had to work out with. And I feel like that was next bit of the scenes are going to really fly by quickly. But this is, again, the first 12 seconds of what was a 50-second preview. So we can only assume that there's going to be a lot of emphasis on this Jaime trial, and assume Daenerys will somehow eventually find out, probably in this episode, that this is the guy who, or Jon, the big reveal about Jon that now Jon knows, and Jon's going to tell Daenerys.
He never should have trusted Cersei.
You never should have either.
Death.
All right, so there we see just quickly a little bit of a discussion between the two very icy people. Their relationship at this point very icy between Sansa and Daenerys. Obviously, they had the very tense conversation. The North is yours, your grace. I don't want to say this, but I have to say this because it would be awkward if I didn't say it. Yeah, Sansa, she has become probably one of the smartest people in the show after Tyrion's kind of fall from grace in that front by saying, the Lannister army is coming right to us. And, of course, Jaime's going to have to break the bad news to him. Nope. And everyone really also, including Sansa, by the way, all kind of knew that Cersei was not going to come. It's going to stab him in the back. But to the degree, I don't think really anyone imagined that Cersei was going to get the Golden Company to her side. So, yeah. I mean, the thing is, Dany has not forgotten Jaime's old nickname, the Kingslayer, which he earned after assassinating her father. That's going to be something they're going to really have to deal with. And I really wonder if Daenerys is going to make another enemy in Sansa here, which seems what this conversation is going to be about here, like that they're having. It doesn't seem very fraught, and it seems like this could be a conversation they'll have after maybe, Jaime reveals that that the Golden Company has been hired by Cersei, and she's going to bring them up to possibly fight whoever's left after the battle with the Wight Walkers. And they have a little back and forth there. They're both sitting at the high table. It looks like the same scene as Jaime's trial.
Death.
But over here, Arya talking about death.
So many faces. I look forward to seeing this one.
Death has many faces, and very, very crucially, obviously the allusion to the many face training there from Arya. And we see just a little glimpse, just a little peek in this Season 8, Episode 2 preview of the crypts, and a scene and we know it's going to be from Episode 2, and the possibility, my theory is, I'm just thinking of this now, this could very well be where the big reveal happens, and they come to a discussion about who will fight for the Iron Throne, because Jon has to tell Daenerys, I have a pretty good claim to it because I'm Aegon Targaryen, and I am next in line. I'm Rhaegar's heir to the throne. So yeah, Rhaegar's dead, Aerys is dead. That makes me the next man up in that situation. And by the way, I have a lot of support. So that is all very, very interesting there. And I feel like if all the places of all the possible locations where Daenerys could find this out, and Jon could tell Daenerys about his parentage, the Winterfell crypts seem to be pretty much the ideal location.
How long do we have?
All right, so how long do we have? Jon says that to Tormund in the courtyard of Winterfell. This, obviously, horses are galloping. The unsullied army is marching. Possibly, obviously, really, I think this is going to be at least the beginning of the Battle of Winterfell. This is going to be a scene that took, I believe, 55 nights to shoot. It's an epic project. Probably going to be one of the most, probably the biggest battle scene ever on TV, and that's why it's such a big moment, such a big deal. That's where devoting so much of the list really to talking about this, and that's something I'm really personally looking forward to seeing to a big degree. But now that we have that, now that we know that, the rest of the preview is focusing on the rest of this preview is going to be focusing on the battle preparation. Siege weapons, men marching through the yard. Jon asks Tormund, how long do we have? Tormund's voiceover replies, before the sun comes up tomorrow, suggesting there will be a battle coming soon. Hopefully the internal politics of Winterfell will be resolved, or at least put on hold in time to defend the living from the dead here at this point. It could be a Helm's Deep type scenario. Something to rival that we see from Lord of the Rings in terms of extended battle scenes. A lot of drama happening. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very, very interesting. 9 p.m. Eastern Time, April 21st. That's today, folks. It's going to be very exciting. We'll have a lot of stuff to recap when we see you next. It'll be next Saturday. And yeah, I personally look forward to watching the show. I hope you enjoyed the list this week. We will see you next week for more.